Mr. Rusty was worried about his chimney. It needed sweeping. He told Zebedee. "Sweep it then," said Zebedee. "Yes, well, easier said than done in this day and age," said Mr. Rusty. "You don't see a lot of chimney sweeps about for some reason, do you?" Zebedee went to have a look. You're right," he said, and Mr. Rusty had to laugh. "You look a proper caution," he said. "A proper caution," and he laughed like a bucket. "Don't fall off," said Zebedee coldly, trying to be dignified. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Mr. Rusty. "It's just that you looked a proper caution," said Zebedee, slowly. "Exactly," said Mr. Rusty. And then they thought about the best way to get the chimney swept, without the sweeper being a proper caution. Florence met Dougal in the garden. "What have you got there?" she asked. "It's my patent chimney-sweeping device." "Oh, I see," said Florence, going for a little walk. "It's extremely clever and simple," said Dougal. "Bit like me, really." "What do you call it?" said Florence. "The hedgehog," said Dougal. "And what are you going to do with it?" "Sweep chimneys," said Dougal. "Oh, yes," said Florence. "What am I going to do with it, really?" muttered Dougal. "You're muttering, Dougal," said Florence. They arrived. "Now, where's that snail? I told him to be early. Never trust a mollusk." But Brian was on his way. "Here I am, old fat friend," he said. "Watch it," said Dougal, "and come on." Florence wondered how it was all going to work. "Won't work," said Brian. "Course it will," said Mr. McHenry. Florence started things off. "Now, who's going up?" she said. They all blenched, especially Dougal. "Well, someone's got to go," said Florence, but no one seemed very keen. "Shall I go?" she said. "Why not?" said Dougal. "Oh," said Florence, and thought about it. "Dogs climb ladders," said Mr. McHenry. "Go on, Dougal," said Florence. "No," said Dougal, so loudly they all jumped. "Oh, well," said Florence. "I think it's a job for a human being," said Brian. "It's a two-legged job, and I haven't even got one. It's a well-known fact. Snails are legless." Mr. McHenry finally volunteered, and went up on the roof with Dougal's chimney sweeper. "Careful." "Could someone go inside and tell me if anything's happening?" said Mr. McHenry. "Nothing startling as yet," said Brian, peering. Mr. McHenry worked away, to some effect. And then, unfortunately, he dropped the sweeper, with unfortunate results. Oh, was ever a snail so put upon?" And Brian went home in a snaily huff. What? Florence giggled when she shouldn't have. "What's going on?" said Zebedee. "I thought you were sweeping chimneys." And he went to investigate. "Good night," sighed Florence. "Did I do it right?" said Mr. McHenry. "Well, not quite," said Florence. Mr. Rusty was still worried about his chimneys. "I'm worried about my chimneys," he said. "They'll have to wait," said Florence. "Don't forget to wash before bed," said Zebedee.